Intelligence is certainly your ability to make distinctions. And what most people make the mistake about when they're creating intimacy is they mistake intimacy for arousal. And so yesterday's video, I talked about how do you build intimacy. And how you build intimacy is you create more experiences, since intimacy is how well you know the person. And when you can communicate and facilitate non-judgmental acceptance in the relationship, you can truly get to know the person for who they are, uninhibited, without any walls. And they can talk about who they are, and you can explore more together because you now are a couple or a partnership where each person is themselves, uninhibited, and they can demonstrate who they actually are if you can facilitate non-judgmental acceptance. So, manage expectations to build intimacy so that you can have non-judgmental acceptance. And so, the delineation, the distinction is what you're actually wanting is how do you build arousal. Now, if you want to, because the word intimacy is used in these terms. Let me set up my timer here. Hold on one second. Okay. I can only do 10 minutes of videos at a time. So if you're asking, how do I build arousal? Well, that's an entirely different question. And it's a valid question. It's a great question. It's an important question to have. How do you build arousal with a person? Men, let me begin with this. For men to be attracted with women, to be aroused by women, it's actually quite simple. A woman who looks hot, appears yummy, and it depends for any man, and it depends for any time of the day or any time of the month. For whatever reason, she appears hot. And that is enough for a man to be aroused. Do you understand, ladies? Gentlemen, do you concur? Now, men often project. They imagine that because women they are aroused by women just by their looking hot to them. They imagine it's the same way for women. What women understand is that it's not like that. For a woman, my cat's playing around, for a woman to be aroused, she requires much more than just a guy to look hot. Do you understand? They're not the same. What builds arousal for a woman is different from what builds arousal for a man. So for a woman, she may indulge in conversation, it's different for every woman, with a man who appears hot. But 30 seconds later, she will have to get to know him for her to begin to get aroused. And often, women are disappointed. Men, listen up. So how do you build arousal? For a man, like I said, easily aroused by a woman who looks hot. And for an enlightened man, easily aroused by a woman who looks hot and has a great personality. And pay attention to any man, and women know this for certain, that any man who thinks a woman is hot and he would do anything for her just because of her looks is an unenlightened person. So what does it take for a woman to get aroused? Men, pay attention. For a woman to get aroused, I talked about it in a previous video several weeks back, requires 4 things from man. It requires that the man be arousing. And it's not merely based on looks. It's actually far from it. Any man can become arousing despite their looks if they have these 4 characteristics. The 4 characteristics are the man has to be able to demonstrate that he loves, honors, and respects himself. And I want you to check out that video, which I talked about how to attract, for men, how to attract women. Number one, he must demonstrate that he loves, honors, and respects himself. What do I mean by demonstrate? I mean to be able to imbue, to be able to show by demonstration, not merely by thinking it, not merely by saying it to yourself. You can think it to yourself, you can say it to yourself all you want, but you can't demonstrate it unless you actually believe it. Love, honor, and respect yourself. Number two, you appreciate women. You appreciate that women are women and do women things. There are a lot of people who have a lot of animosity against women. So you must love, adore, and respect women and recognize that women are women. Number three characteristic for a man to become arousing to a woman is that he must demonstrate that he is willing and able to lead, preferably without the women's having to voice it out. Preferably. So now you got three characteristics, and the fourth one is it's the one that's specific to the individual. But three are general rules, and women, let me ask you a question, and maybe you could provide it in the comments. Any man whom you're attracted and you're aroused by, demonstrate these three things. And every single one of them demonstrate these three things. And women, can you tune in? Can you provide your input in the comments? Any man who does not demonstrate these four characteristics, you cannot be aroused by. Got it? Number one, a man who loves, honors, and respects himself and can demonstrate it. Number two, he loves, adores, and respects women and recognizes that women will do women things. Number three, he's willing and able to lead the interaction. And number four, he must find her interesting. He must demonstrate interest in her as an individual. The three are generalities, general traits for men that are arousing. And the fourth trait is specific to the individual. And that fourth trait is that he must demonstrate interest in that particular individual. And when he demonstrates these four things, he can become arousing. So how do you build arousal? This is how you build arousal. I'm going to revisit that in other videos. I only have 30 seconds left, and I do want to touch, perhaps I'll do it tomorrow, a continuation of how to build arousal on an ongoing, perpetual basis in a relationship. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. By the way, if you want to learn a complete set of online course on relationships and communication, go to greatrelationshipsyou.com.